Hello Stitchy friends, how's everybody doing? Today is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. My name is Andrew and you have stumbled upon The Runner Stitcher. This is my channel where I talk primarily about my cross-stitch journey, but also a little bit about running as well. And thank you so much for stopping by to spend a little time with me today. I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, I hope you enjoy what you see. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and spending a little time with me to see the update on my projects. I feel like this was a really good stitchy week for me. I feel like I was kind of back in the groove of everything. So I do have a lot to share with you today, which is really exciting. And yeah, let's just let's jump right into it. So the first thing I wanted to say was just how great of a time I had at Harvest Moon Hangout, hosted by Lindy Stitches and Steph at Lindy Stitches. The whole weekend was just really fun. I got to reconnect with friends of mine. I got to meet a bunch of new people. I really enjoyed the stitchy tables this year, and yeah, just had a really lovely time. The shopping haul was really fun. The meet and greets were great. Especially, I really enjoyed the one with the ladies from Gloriana Silks. So much knowledge and information about silks there. That was a really great talk. And yeah, just such a fun time overall. I was able to join throughout most of the weekend, and it actually really felt like I was at a retreat with a bunch of other stitchers. So that was a lot of fun. I hope you are not hearing the construction noise in the background. I do have my windows open today because it is a beautiful fall day today and just wanted some airflow in here. So I hope you're not hearing that. Hopefully I'll be able to work out the sound a little bit with that. Otherwise, next time I film, I'll have to maybe have the windows shut, I guess. You'll notice that I'm going to be looking over here. I've got my notes over here, and I might be looking above a little bit because I'm trying to see like where I'm positioned in the camera. So apologies for all of that, but I'm still figuring out the situation to record best in the new space. And yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed. But yeah, Harvest Moon Hangout was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and definitely recommend checking out one of these virtual retreats. The next one coming up is the Jingle Ball. I think that is either the first or second weekend in December, and tickets will go on sale I think soon, sometime in October. But that one is a huge virtual retreat. So if you want to try one, that's a good one to start with because it will have everything in that one spot. So stay tuned for that on Lindy Stitch's website and on her Flosstube as well. All right, and I think that's all the housekeeping I've got for you this week, so let's just dive right into the stitching. I'm really excited because I've got a lot of projects to share with you this week and should be really fun. So since the last time I saw you, I was able to add in 3,791 stitches, which was a pretty good week for me. I feel like that was kind of back on track with a normal week of what I was getting before the move, so that is exciting. I'm really happy to be at that level again. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 whips to share with you this time. Technically it's 7 whips and a new start, but let's just dive right in. So the first thing I want to share with you is my marathon training. This is for #WhipIntoShape, and I am training currently for the New York City Marathon, which is the first Sunday in November. So I've got just over a month left of training to do, and I've encouraged all of you to stitch along with my training. So I've got a spreadsheet linked below that will show and update the days that I run, and the challenge is to stitch 10 stitches for every mile that I run. So far in the training, I've run 101 miles since the beginning of September, since we started the training for New York, and that equates to about 1,010 stitches, and the total time was 14 hours and 54 minutes. On my project, I chose Fruits of Plenty. This is by Modern Folk Embroidery, and here is what this is going to look like in the end. It's this beautiful piece from Jacob that I'm sure you all know by this point. And since the last time I saw you, I was able to add in 243 stitches, which puts me at 60.26%. That's awesome. 60% finally on this huge project. I'm super happy about that. I will go ahead and put in a picture here of where I was when I started at the very beginning of the Whip Into Shape challenge, which was back in May, and you'll be able to see the great amount of progress that I have gotten on this piece. All right, and here is where I'm at now. So let's see if I can get the whole thing in the camera. Here we go. That is my Fruits of Plenty. Now let's zoom in a little bit and see exactly where I worked this week. And that was a little bit more in this bottom section right here. So I was able to add in some of these sort of triangles here, and I think I brought most of these leaves down a little bit further as well. I might have even worked on one of these, on these two like outer borders of the next kind of motif down there. I think that's the main area that I worked in. I may have also put in like a little bit of the green stitches here, or maybe a strand over here, but that's the majority of where I worked this time for the 243 stitches. The good news is I do know what I'm going to be putting in these two blocks in the center here, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks as this comes out, I will be able to fill in those blocks. That might be where I start next. I am stitching this on a 32 count smoky white linen with 2 DMC colors. I believe it's 890 and 320 are the DMC colors. So I am super happy with my progress on this. I will keep pulling this out for whip into shape, and yeah, we'll get some more progress, but 60% is awesome. Okay, next up, let's go through my temperature stitching. So for temperature stitching, I have 3 projects assigned to various numbers from 0 to 9, and whatever the forecasted temperature is for that day, I look at the second digit, and whatever project's assigned to that, I put in 100 stitches. So throughout the week, I get 700 stitches on a variation of these 3 projects. So for this past week, the projects I was working on were Stack of Pancakes. This is the first one. This is from SammyStitchesStore on Etsy. It's this wonderful pancake piece that I absolutely love. And this was called for 3 days. So I managed to put in 307 stitches, and that puts me at 72.2%. We're getting close to 75%. I will pop in a video here of where I was when I started this week. Okay, here's my starting point for Stack of Pancakes this week. My goal will be to work in this section here and bring down that diagonal, fill in all of those parked threads. And it's got 3 days, so 300 stitches. That might take me up to the next diagonal, which would mean I would start working in these sections up here that are missing some stitches. So we'll see, but I'll start working on it and you'll see it now. And here is where I was able to get to. So I completed this next diagonal down here. I think that was the section here that I was working on first, and then I popped right up into here and filled in this section as well. This section had a lot of holes left in it from when I was doing cross country, kind of like this over here. So as you can see, I was able to fill in that completely and work that down a little bit further. So that was a lot of fun. We are really seeing these pancakes come together. I think it's looking great, especially when you pull it back and look at this. I can't wait to have this framed and on my wall. I think it's gonna be so fun and probably gonna make me hungry every single time, but I love pancakes. I always have. It's something my dad used to make for us on Saturday mornings, and I've always loved pancakes, and so this is going to be a fun one to have on my wall for sure. But this is stitched on a 20 count black Aida, and I'm using 2 strands of DMC over 1 of the Aida threads, and that makes for it to be a very thick piece because 2 strands on 20 count is a lot, but I really like the full sort of coverage look and how it's turning out here. So that's a little bit closer view of my stack of pancakes. And next time I pull this out, I will continue just working down this diagonal here and try to get that complete. I think when I looked at the chart, I think there might be 7 or 8 more diagonals to go, but they do start getting less. I think the next diagonal that I have up here will be it'll start kind of like right over here, and then they will start getting less and less as we go down this direction, which is exciting. So they might go a little bit faster, but again, yeah, almost at 75% on this piece, and I do really enjoy it. I love working in this diagonal parking method because it really lets you see the piece kind of come together. This one is just full of confetti. There's just so many different shades of orange, so it is tough to stitch, and I like it in little chunks. I think I was saying this weekend at some point that it's not a piece I would work on all day long. It's just too many oranges and too much confetti, but in smaller chunks like temperature stitching, where it's just a couple hundred stitches each time, that's manageable and I can do it. So that is Stack of Pancakes. Okay, the next piece for temperature stitching was a French Rosé. This is from Running with Needles and Scissors. Here is what this piece is going to look like. It's this beautiful sampler with lovely rose colored floss, And I'm doing mine a little bit differently. I'm stitching mine tone on tone, but this was only called for 1 day, so I got the final 100 stitches in for this goal. And this week I was able to add 194 stitches, so I actually almost doubled the goal, but I wanted to get to a good stopping point, so you'll see that now. Last week, a bunch of you said that you were able to finally see this for the first time in all the videos, so I hope that the lighting is good today. It's a little bit different today than it was the last time, but I hope you're able to see this. But yeah, here is what I worked on. So I basically added in the other flower in the center motif here, and I think that looks so good. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. This is stitched on a 40 count curtain call by Lap and Loops, and I'm using the Almond M&M's silk in the colorway Velvet Rouge. And I just think it's lovely. I think it's so pretty. I'm really happy with it. It's tiny, but I'm really happy with the tone on tone conversion. So yeah, so I added in this leaf here on this side to sort of even it out a little bit. And I just wanted to get that done so that, and that's why I had almost 200 stitches instead of just the 100. But this will go away for a while because this was in the new start category of temperature stitching. This was a new start back in June for StitchCon with my table mates. And the goal for that category is 3,000 stitches. So I now have over 3,000 on this piece, which feels like a great start, which is kind of what I wanted for that category, to get to a good start on each of the projects that I begin. But this will go away for a little while now. I still have a good chunk to do because I've got these two flower vases to do here. The flowers are not quite as full coverage in through here. They're more kind of sporadic, so it might not take quite as long. And then I've got the whole pot down here to do these cute little birds and this flower here. And then I need to figure out what I want to do with the name, if I want to add that in or not. But so there's still a lot of stitching to do in this, but at least the next time I pull it out, I've got a really good start on it already and can just pick it up and go. All right, and the final temperature stitching piece is the Witch Whip category, and this is the one that you all picked for me. So you chose Celtic Autumn by Lavender and Lace. This is the picture that comes with the pattern, although mine is going to look very different because I'm doing the color conversion on Janet Granger's blog. So there's more orange and green instead of the purple and yellow sort of colors there. But that's what she will look like. I will put a video in here where I was when I started the week. And here is where I was able to get to on her this week. So I had a lot of fun pulling her back out. I basically worked on her skin and finished her neck area here. So that is all completed. And then I got to get into these beautiful fall colors of her dress, the oranges, the greens. There's even a little petite treasure braid in there, which is great. And I'm starting to get down this section right here starts the main part of the dress, which I'm really excited to get to. So I will try to zoom in here a little bit so you can see the stitching a bit more. But you'll see the skin 1/1 and then the dress stitching there. Absolutely beautiful. All right, I'm sorry about all the construction noises today. I'm going to try to get through this, but I closed the window, so hopefully it will be better. This is stitched on I believe it's a 28 count hazelnut from XJU Designs. And I'm stitching with all the called for colors, the DMC, in the color conversion. So not the colors of the pattern, but in the color conversion. And she was so much fun to get back out. I love these colors this time of year. I'm so glad you all picked it. And yeah, I will keep working on her as she gets called for temperature stitching, but that is what she looks like so far. Okay, and after temperature stitching, then I worked on Saga. This is from Long Dog Samplers. Here is what this piece is going to look like. It's this beautiful row of arches of fun little scenes from Long Dog Samplers. And I will put a video in here where I was when I started the week. Okay, here is my starting point for Saga. I am going to be starting on this top section here of the column, and then once I get this filled in, I'm probably going to come down here and see how far I can bring down the pillar. So you will see it now. This week I was able to add in 554 stitches, which puts me at 45.91%, which is exciting. Now I'm hoping I can actually get this whole thing in here this time. I know it was cut off last week, so now you can see the full Saga here, which is exciting. And let's zoom in on what I worked on. So basically this time I brought down this column right here. I'm not sure how, I think I maybe had it down to about here the last time. So I filled in all of this down here. I also worked a little bit more in this section. So I pulled this part of the arch down through, had a little bit of floss left a couple of times. So I filled in some of these sporadic things in the next arch piece. But basically I'm ready to start the meat of what's inside the arch here. I might bring this column just a little bit down further, but then I'm gonna just jump right in. So next week I'll get to start what's in the arch. I don't think we'll get the story quite yet next week. I think it'll still be another week until we get that, but yeah, you'll at least get to see kind of a sneak peek of what's coming in the arch next week. So this is stitched on a 36 count vintage country mocha, and I'm using the Silks for You PR207. I'm stitching one strand of silk over 2 linen threads. And this has just been so much fun. I really enjoy pulling this out. I usually pull this out 1 day a week and get in the required stitches so that I can try to finish it in 4 years. And so far that's been working pretty well for me. So I'm excited to keep going on this next row of arches, and yeah, only 1.5 left to go. And then we'll get to the bigger view, but here is Saga so far. All right, my next whip is one that I was working on already last week, so you know what it is. This is Woodland Enchantress by Dimensions. I'm stitching it with the full Dimensions kit materials and everything, and I'll put a video in here of where I was when I started. Okay, here's my starting point for Woodland Enchantress for this week. I am definitely going to try to finish my goal of 2,200 stitches for whip go, so I have 600 left to go. And yeah, I thought maybe I would continue working over here where I had been working last week, but I think actually I'm going to start over here in some of these blues and fill in some of these spaces here. I also might continue with some of these lighter blue. I think they're going to be like little snowflakes or, I don't know, fairy dust or something. So I might continue working in there. They look pretty cool with the white stitches in the center. So I think this section is where I'll be working on this week, but you'll see it now. Since last week, I was able to add in 652 stitches, which puts me at 35.03% on this piece. I was able to get the PDF chart from Dimensions, and it does go into markup. It's not 100% correct, but it goes in enough that I can use it to stitch on, so that's great. And here is where I'm at this time. So I know last time I worked a little bit more on her here and got some of the back stitching done around her staff, her hands, her face. That's what I was kind of working on last time. This time, however, I decided to fill in some of these blues and the snowflake pieces here, or the snowball pieces here. So there's a few more stitches in here that I need to fill out that are not quite filled in yet, but I added a big chunk of this blue here. And even on this side here under the tree, I added in these blue half stitches here for the snow on the tree. So just, yeah, kind of worked in this section here and got a good chunk done, but it all has to be done, right? I think I also maybe added a strand or two over here on this side to fill in the background around her staff. So yeah, it's all got to be done. This has been really fun to get back to. I'm stitching it on the 18 count Aida that came with the kit. I'm happy that I centered it correctly and it does fit this direction. I'm assuming it'll fit lengthwise, or I mean height-wise as well. But this was really fun to get back to. This was part of my whip go goal for September, which was to get 2,200 stitches on it. And by adding the 650 this week, I have now accomplished that goal. So check that off the list for September. That was a good feeling. I don't know exactly when she'll come back out, maybe not till a little bit more when it gets cold in the winter time, but really, really enjoyed this again, pulling it back out. And then since I just completed one of my whip go goals, I figured why not get started on the next whip go goal, which actually worked out perfectly because that goal was for Autumn is Joyful. This is a Quaker from Lila Studio. I absolutely love this piece so much. I think it's really, I love the fall colors. I love the motifs. I just really, really enjoy it. So I was really happy this came out for the autumn season, and technically autumn didn't start till yesterday, but I pulled this out basically for most of the weekend for Harvest Moon Hangout, and I'm just so glad that now I have those memories of that weekend attached with this piece because that just makes me happy. So I think I took a video. I'll pop a video in here of where I was when I started the week. Okay, here's my starting point for Autumn Mrs. Joyful. I am probably going to try to work down these little motifs here down this side. I might also pop over here. We'll see, but you will see it now. And the whip goal was for 700 stitches on this piece, and throughout the Harvest Moon Hangout, I was actually able to add in 1,085 stitches, which is awesome. I'm now at 25.41% on this piece, which is really great. So here is where I got to. Oh, this looks so good. I'm really happy with this one. So what did I add in this time? Well, first of all, I added this black cat on the side here, and that was a lot of fun with those yellow eyes kind of staring back at us. And then I also, from there, I thought I was going to continue down on these motifs here, but thought, you know what, I need something that's a little easier to count. So I actually jumped over here to these squirrels. And the 1,000 stitches that I put in over the weekend were basically these two squirrels, the top of the acorn here, and then the little yellow flower motif on the corner there. I really, really love how this is looking. And I love those two squirrels that they're different shades of brown. It just kind of adds so much to the piece. But yeah, that's where I got to. So that was over 1,000 stitches. This is stitched on a 40 count Winter's Brew by R&R Reproductions, and I'm stitching it using the Vicky Clayton Silk Pack. That is 1 strand over 2 linen threads. And again, so enjoyable, especially these squirrels, because you don't have to be counting much for them. You can just sort of kind of go with them, which is awesome. And they were really fun to work on during the retreat. So I'm happy to have made that progress. Can't believe I'm at 25% already. That's awesome. So this will probably keep coming out here over the next couple of weeks as we're entering into the fall season, and I feel like stitching on fall things. So you might see this come back some more, but that was another Whip Go goal complete, which, yeah, takes care of my goals for September. Okay, and the final piece I've got to share with you today is actually a new start. So I told you last time that I was just in the mood to start all the things. I think after having unpacked all of my kits and patterns and seeing them again, just made me want to start all the things. And one of those that I've had this in my stash for a while, and I finally just kitted up maybe 6 months ago. I finally bought all of the floss for it, and so it was ready to go. I just needed a fabric and to get it started. So this one is what called to me, but this is 1838 Elizabeth Masterton, a Scottish sampler, and this is from the Scarlet letter. So here is what this piece is going to look like. I was really just drawn to this as this is really my first sampler piece, and I loved it because it doesn't necessarily have the full alphabet. It's got some of the initials of her family members, and it's got her name stitched in here, of course, but there's not like a full alphabet in it. I loved all of these different flower motifs in here, and the colors are just so pretty to me. Not to mention these fun birds here in the center, these little peacocks that are on the side of the house. I actually love this house with the little sheep in the fenced in area. I think these fences are actually satin stitch or something like that, so we'll see when I get down to there. And love these trees at the bottom too. But there was just something about this piece that I really, really enjoyed. So I decided to start this one. I went through my stash and looked for, I think this is stitched on an ivory linen, looked for something that I thought would work for it. And I found a 40 count from Fox and Rabbit. I was in their Fabric of the Month Club through Garonne Stitchery, and got this piece through that. So I'm not sure if it's one of their regular line or if it's something that was just for the Fabric Club, but it's called Paper Bark. And after pulling the floss, doing a floss toss, I thought it would work. It's a little, theirs is a little warmer here. My color is a little bit cooler, but I think everything will really pop nicely on this color, and I think it's gonna look nice. So without further ado, let's just show you where I got to. On this new start, I was able to add in 374 stitches, and I am going to be stitching this page by page. So the first page of the pattern, I was able to get into markup. So that's what I'm gonna be kind of using for my stats. So when I give you the percentage, that is the percentage of page 1. I think there's maybe like 8 or 9 pages total. It's kind of a lot, it's a big piece. But anyway, here is where my start is. So I basically just started in the upper corner and started working on these leaves. Now, I know you've heard me talk about leaves before, especially in Jacob's pieces, and how they weren't necessarily my favorite. For some reason, these leaves did not bother me. I think it's maybe because I was working with shorter lengths of thread, and I figured out a way that that they flow easier, or maybe it's the distance between them that my floss sort of just carried perfectly to where it needed to start, stop, and end. But yeah, I actually didn't mind them. So, and this green, I don't know how well this is coming across on the camera, but the green is just such a luscious dark green. I really, really like it. And then I put one of these little flower buds in here as well. They will kind of go throughout the whole border. So not much of a start, but 300 stitches in. That is 6.7% of page 1 for this piece. And again, this is stitched on a 40 count from Fox and Rabbit called Paper Bark, and it will take up this whole fat quarter. So I left myself a little bit of a margin on this side, about 2 inches, and I think it's going to be about 2 inches on this side that will be left. So it is a big piece. She is a big one, but I'm really excited to have this started. I think these colors, let me just show you the colors. So I'm using all of the Aversois Soie d'Alger. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I kitted it up with all the called for silks, the Soie d'Alger, and here is what that silk pack sort of looks like. So these colors to me were very fall. You know, you've got some of these darker browns, you've got some of these colors like the leaves are changing, you've got some of these yellows in here, and it just really screamed fall to me. So I think that's why I was kind of drawn to start it right now. But I think on this fabric, it's a neutral enough fabric that I think it's all gonna look really good. And it's a little cooler, like I said, than in the picture, but I think it's gonna work, and I'm excited. I'm excited to have my first sampler going. And I guess technically I took part in Sampler September then. This is not, I don't think this is a sampler that everybody thinks of as a sampler since there's no alphabet, but there is a house and it is called a Scottish sampler, so I think that works. But again, this is from the Scarlet house, Elizabeth Masterton, 1838. And I think I'm going to just stitch this exactly as the original piece. So I'm going to be putting in all of the initials of her family. I'm going to be putting in her name. I think that's what I'm going to do at this point. I'll probably add my initials somewhere in the piece just to, you know, show that I stitched it. But I really want this to be sort of true to the reproduction of what I'm stitching. So yeah, that is my new start. Super excited to share it with you. All right, and that's all the stitching I've got for you this week. So let's talk a little bit about plans. For WIPGO, as you know, I did complete both of my September WIPGO goals already, which is awesome. So I'll put a picture of the WIPGO chart right here so you can see sort of where I'm at. I still have missed the 2 August goals. Life just happened and I didn't get to them. But because I'm already done my September goals, I might try to pull out Gaia the Earth Goddess this week and get 500 stitches in her. That wouldn't take me too long, and I think it's possible. So I might try to catch up on that one. Beyonce, I think she just might not get the stitches she's called for this year, but we'll see. But Gaia may come out for the 500 stitches. And then pretty soon, probably within the next week, I think by the next time I film, we should have our WIPGO calls for the month of October, which will be really exciting. Then I'll get to show you what the plans are for that month. Temperature stitching, I'll put a picture up here of the new chart. Before I do that, so the category that French Rosé was in that was completed for 3,000 stitches, that is the new start category. What that means is when I complete that goal of 3,000 stitches, I get to have a new start. Now you're probably thinking I could have just used Elizabeth Masterton as the new start, but no, I wanted to do another one because I've been feeling the new starts lately. So what I chose was a smaller piece. This is from Bent Creek and it's called Pop of Halloween. And I just thought this was so cute. I got this at the Inspired Needle in Palm Coast, Florida, which is near where my parents live. And I just love this. Now, what's cool about this is it's stitched all with pearl cotton. So this was the full kit. And you can see here that the threads are thicker than a normal DMC. So this is a thicker thread. And I think it's actually a 20 count linen, and you stitch it over 2 strands because you're using the thicker thread. So I've never used pearl cotton before, and I thought that would be really fun. And it's the perfect time of year to pull out these cute little pumpkins. Let me tell you, this is just not my day for filming. Between the construction noises, which of course, as soon as I close the window, it's been silent. I don't know if I went on break or what, but I closed the window and it's silent. And then twice my iPhone has run out of storage, which is what I'm trying to film on now. So quite a day. But anyway, I was showing you Pop of Halloween. I don't think this is a very large piece, and so we'll see. I don't know if the 3,000 stitches that are in the temperature stitching category will get this to a completion. It kind of looks to me like it might, which is exciting. So maybe I'll have this done for this sort of fall season, but really like this kit and wanted to get it started. So I'll be working with the pearl cottons for the first time, and you'll see this in temperature stitching. So now I'm gonna pop in a picture of the new chart for this week. And basically I'm gonna be working a lot on the new start. So 5 days were called for this piece for Pop of Halloween. 2 days were called for my stack of pancakes. And unfortunately, no days were called for Celtic Autumn. So she will not come out this week, which is a bummer, but I will get 5 days worth, so 500 stitches on this new piece, which is really exciting. That will give us a good indication of whether those 3,000 stitches will actually get this to a finish or not. But yeah, I'm really excited for that, and that will be coming, so stay tuned for this new start. And I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything. I did place an order from Harvest Moon for a few things that I will share probably in next week's video. I think that they're actually supposed to arrive today, which is exciting, but I don't have them yet, so I can't share that little bit of haul with you. But I think that's all I've got for you. So keep running if you're a runner, always keep stitching, and be kind to whoever you meet on your journey. Bye for now, until the next stitch. Especially the top one. And there's the construction again. I'm sure you can hear that. I'm gonna try to edit this out. Of course, right when I start filming is when the construction happens, right? But this is my Fruits of Plenty. I am stitching this 2 over 2 on a 32 counts smoky white